When a child asks you a question, your first response should be, what do you think? And when I think about the way that I teach, I feel like that encapsulates so much of what I believe. It's such a simple thing, but the values that I hold as an educator, number one, that I'm not like a sage on the stage, right? My role is to facilitate learning. My role is to empower young children to go seek their own answers, right? With my support or with scaffolding. So that little phrase, that little response, what do you think, is turning it on to the child to say, oh, wait, I have ideas. I have experiences. I have value, right? And all of that is sort of wrapped up in that one sentence. And so I use that, I don't know how many times a day, right? Like think about how many times, not just young children, even adults might ask questions, right? And you might say, well, what do you think? So many times teachers of older grades tell me, well, kids ask so many questions and when they're young and then it gets just pushed out of them, And I'm like, well, why is that? Why is that happening that students just over time view questions as a negative, as a signifier of a lack of knowledge, versus a signifier of curiosity and interest, like my student was saying in the beginning. And so I think that that piece of advice she gave me is so powerful. And then a lot of teachers say, well, then what if they say, oh, I don't know, and then I say, they ask me a question. I say, what do you think? And the kid's like, I don't know. And I say, well, how can we find out together? Or how do you think we can find out? And that really opens it up to, well, I could do this. I could ask this person. You could show me this. Right. But again, it's empowering. It's giving the student, the child, the agency and the confidence in themselves as a learner. And that's really my goal, to have kids grow confident as learners so they can go take that beyond the classroom.
Yeah, that definitely resonates with me. I had kids sometimes be like, why won't you just tell me the answer when I'd respond with a question? And be like, because what if you have a question and I'm not here? What if there's a substitute here? Or what if you're at home and you're working on this and you don't know? Like, I'm trying to teach you how to teach yourself to figure out solutions to this or think through potential solutions down the road. And most of the time it would click and they'd be like, oh, I get it. But sometimes they'd be like, but I just want to know the answer.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this comes up a lot with spelling with young children, and parents, right? And so a lot of times parents think that the way to teach children spelling is by spelling it for them, right? And a lot of children will come to our class going, how do you spell that? And then I always say, well, what do you think? Now, if children don't yet have the phonemic awareness to spell, then I just say, well, you have a choice. You can try on your own, or I can just write it for you. But telling a child how to spell something is actually not helping them with anything. And so we call it brave spelling. I mean, this is a research-based approach, invented spelling. We call it brave spelling. But when I tell parents this, they're always like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Because I say to them, look, if you are constantly telling them how to spell things, what will they do when you're not there? Or when any adult isn't there? They've got to look inside and go, what do I know about letters and words and sounds? And then, I had a child once who, she told her parent, you know what, Dad, did you know that I can spell any word? And she was 6, and how amazing is that? It's real, because then she's not hindered in her writing, right? There's definitely a place for what we call dictionary, standardized spelling and learning words and all of that, of course, but not during like a writing time, because this is about their voice, right? So anyway, it's the same idea of like what I tell children, like you can try it on your own,
This excerpt of the CSK8 podcast is from episode number 122 and is titled The Place for Joy in Teaching and Learning with Sara Lev.